I'll be real with you for a minute here. There were plenty of days where I had to drag myself to do it. But each time I think I was just planting a seed. Because the consistency, the daily things that I do, the small aspects, they are the ones that accumulated into the end result. Each time I was actually planting a seed. The seeds of resilience, of discipline, and even of belief in myself. Knowing that I can do it. I set my mind to do it. I can do it. Welcome to the SelfSeed Podcast, where we explore what it really takes to grow and change and to build the life that we want, the life that you want, one small step at a time. I'm Emmanuel, your host, and today we are going to have an honest conversation about something that crosses my mind a lot. I just want us to take time to reflect and understand what does it take to actually change and grow. And I mean this in a sense that it's not just in theory, but in real life. Where things get messy, as we know, daily life is not always a straight line, where motivation comes and goes, and progress actually doesn't always look, as in the movies or something, it's a straight line. It's not like that, right? So I want us to take a moment to just think, how do we actually change and grow? How do we actually change and grow? I want us to start with a point where why does change and growth really matters? Why does it? Is it important as we think, or as we give it attention? Is it really that important? Anyways, let's start with that. Change and growth, I feel like, are funny things. I don't know on your end, but on my end, I find them to be funny and interesting at the same time. Where it's like we all talk about the need, the want that we have to grow, to improve, to be the best versions of ourselves. But do we actually really know what it means? And so I'm wondering, do we actually really know what it means? And more importantly, how do we do it in a way that sticks? Because we want to grow. Do we know what it means? And do we know a suitable way in which we can do it and it will stick for a long time? Like, this thing will be not just temporarily, but a long-term thing. I've been on my own journey with this aspect, and where I'm constantly asking myself, how do I plant seeds of change in my own life that I can actually take care of, that I can actually nurture? The seeds that with time and effort, they will turn into something very, very meaningful. Because if you're listening to this, then I bet you feel the same way. That urge to do more, to be more. But it's so easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like growth requires a massive life-altering event. We feel like we need that big thing to happen to us, the big miracle to happen to us. That's when we feel this is real change, this is growth. But in actual sense, there are small daily seeds which are actually the building blocks of growth. And so I want us to try and look at these ones. What I've come to realize is that true growth isn't necessarily about these big, flashy transformations. It's about small daily seeds we plant. I like to think of these seeds as little habits, little choices we make every day. That eventually build us into who we want to be. Just the tiny little things that we do that contribute to the bigger picture, that will contribute to the bigger person whom we want to be. For example, when I was doing my core rebuilding challenge, you can watch that, by the way, on the other YouTube channel. If you are listening on Spotify, then you can just go to my YouTube channel, Ebo Daily, and you can watch. Rebuilding my core strength wasn't just about a single workout or an intense month-long challenge. It was actually about showing up day in, day out. Even on the days that I didn't feel like it, I'll be real with you for a minute here. There were plenty of days where I had to drag myself to do it. But each time I think I was just planting a seed. Because the consistency, the daily things that I do, the small aspects, they are the ones that accumulated into the end result. Each time I was actually planting a seed. The seeds of resilience, of discipline, and even of belief in myself. Knowing that I can do it. I set my mind to do it. I can do it. Now, in this journey of change and growth, there are ups and downs. And I think consistency plays a key role. Consistency over motivation. I think this is the biggest aspect we should note here. That it is consistency over motivation. Because motivation fades, right? But consistency is what will take us a long way. I think one of the hardest parts of growth is realizing that motivation is fleeting. When you understand that motivation can just fade and tomorrow it's no longer there, that's, I think, the biggest part. We all start with that initial burst of excitement, We all start with that, yeah, I can do this. Whenever we are starting a challenge or so on, or even when I was starting the fitness camp this year, people may start with energy, but then life happens. Life happens that you might have a tough day at work. Maybe you didn't just get enough sleep. You just don't feel like doing it. And I think with these aspects, these challenges is where consistency comes in. Consistency, in my point of view, consistency isn't just about being perfect, every day or every second, or doing the same thing over and over again. It's about showing up even when it's hard. Even when you don't feel like doing it, you just show up, fill in the calendar. And for me, building SelfSeed and running my business here in China, there are days where I doubt myself, where I feel drained, or I question if I'm on the right path. Actually, this happens a lot. Yeah. But one thing that I've learned is that growth isn't about avoiding those feelings. It's actually about moving through them, going through those feelings of, oh, I cannot do it, oh, this is not going to happen, and all that. Because each time I push through, I'm building more strength. It's like I'm building mental resilience, and that's what I want to encourage all of you to do as well. If you're listening to this podcast, I believe that you have these great dreams, you have these great ambitions, you have these great goals you want to achieve in your month, in your year, in your day. So I think just go at it. Even when you're not feeling it, just keep on doing it, because the strength that comes after that is far more greater than if you quit along the way. Now, let's look, maybe I can take you through my journey and struggles so that you may be able to correlate and get some real life examples. I just want to get personal with you at this moment. Just a little bit personal. I started the SelfSeed podcast, this podcast, before it was called eTalks, if you've been listening since those first episodes, because I just wanted to share this journey with all of you. I'm not some guru or expert who has it all figured out. I'm just someone who is committed to the process, who is trying to learn and grow alongside you. When you look back at even at my YouTube channel when I started in 2022, if you look at the first videos versus now, if you listen to the podcast episode, the first episode versus now, I think back at my first few attempts at creating content, when I take time to think, it was messy, inconsistent, and I actually felt like I wasn't good enough. It's that motivation you have in the beginning, but then you start feeling like, am I really? So I felt I wasn't good enough. But with each video, each podcast episode, I think I improved a little. I learned what worked and what didn't. I saw firsthand that growth is a messy, uncomfortable process, but that's what makes it so real and so valuable, right? So when actually in the beginning, and right now compared to the beginning, right now I am even eager to continue growing my channels, continue growing this podcast while I work on my other aspects, while I work on my graduate school, while I work on my outdoor and sporting goods business, my personal training, my coaching. So you can see, I think it all started as an imperfect thing, and now it's going towards, becoming something big. And I would just like to share with you some practical tips for your own journey. If you're listening to this episode and thinking, okay, Emmanuel, I get it. Growth takes consistency and small steps, but where do I start? I know probably my nephew is listening to this, or my cousin, or my brother, or my elder brother, my younger brother, my sister, my friends. Where do I start? Where do you start? I've got some practical tips for you. These are things that have worked for me, and maybe they'll resonate with you as well. And so the first thing is start with a clear goal. I have said this, I think, many times. We have talked about this on episodes that I've with guests. I have talked about this in my season 2 where I talked about goal setting. And I think in my episode 41 with Daniel Dubey on the podcast, we also talked about goals and all that. So you can listen to that as well. What do you want to achieve? And don't just make it a vague goal. Just define it perfectly. Define it concisely, precisely. For me, it was rebuilding my core strength. Let's say if it was my in my challenge on Ebo Daily. And for this podcast is actually growing this podcast. So knowing my goals gave me direction, gave me that sense of, clarity where I am going. Smart goals, as we say. And the second thing I want you to do is try to incorporate variety. In my core strength, you should know that growth isn't about doing the same thing every day. Try to mix it up, whether it's fitness, learning a skill, or personal development. Just try to keep things fresh. I like doing that. I try to mix my days with different stuff. I used to get bored easily, but adding variety in many aspects of my life is, kept me engaged. So try that as well. Variety. Take pictures, change tastes. Track your progress. Write notes or even keep a journal. Something that will show you the progress, and nowadays videos and all pictures, and something that will show you where you have come and where you are. Sometimes we don't see our own progress until we look back. When I look at my first video and I look at my first episode on the podcast, that leads me to the next part. Celebrate small wins. Don't wait until you have achieved the end of your goal to celebrate each small step forward. It's like, I think celebrate each small step because it's it's worth acknowledging. It's worth acknowledging where God has taken you from the beginning to this part. So learn to celebrate. Thank God. Be grateful. And remember that setbacks are part of the process. Growth isn't linear, like, that thing where if it increases, this way it increases. No. There will always be days where it feels like you're going backward. So don't let that discourage you. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the bigger picture, and God got you. God got you. So one other key aspect that I've learned, something else that I've learned in my journey, is that growth doesn't have to be a solo journey. Rose, sister, my friend, my colleague, my listener, my acquaintance. Growth doesn't have to be a solo journey. In fact, it's so much more rewarding when you have a community to support you. That's what I hope the SelfSeed can be for you, and the AUSSI tribe can be for you in your fitness and wellness journey. The SelfSeed is your friend, is a place where you can find encouragement, guidance, and maybe even some inspiration from others who are on the same path. And the AUSSI tribe is where you can find like-minded individuals in wellness, fitness, and outdoor adventures. Just leading an active lifestyle, having people who can remind you, who can share, celebrate their wins with you. I think that's what I'm aiming for. the SelfSeed Podcast, your friend in personal development, and the AUSSI Tribe, the person, where we help you to be strong in body and bold in mind. So if you haven't yet joined a tribe, I would love for you to join our community. I would love for you to join the AUSSI Tribe using the link in the description. Yeah, we have just listed the AUSSI Tribe on School. We have a WhatsApp, we have WeChat. And share your journey, your wins, your struggles. Let's just be real with each other and let's grow together. You never know who you might inspire. You never know who might inspire you as well. So the community, the AUSSI Tribe is, find your tribe. And find your tribe, find the AUSSI Tribe, yeah? Find the AUSSI Tribe and join in. Let's share, celebrate, inspire each other. So again, what does it take to change and grow? What does it take to change and grow? This is the final question I come back with. It takes intention. It takes consistency over motivation. It takes faith, faith in God that God will do greater things, and God, where He is taking you, He is shaping you into becoming a better person. It takes courage to face setbacks and patience to see the fruits of your effort. It's not really glamorous and all that, and it's not always easy, but I can promise you that every seed you plant counts. So wherever you are in your journey, remember that it's not just about reaching perfection. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about showing up for yourself one small step at a time. One small step at a time. It's not about it being all rosy and all, butterflies and all that, but it's about, one small step at a time. So if you're feeling like losing hope, if you're feeling like, is it going to work? Just keep at it. Keep at it the same way I'm keeping at it. Yeah, that's the practical example. Keep at it the same way I'm keeping at it. And eventually it says that, man, if you put your effort, if you dedicate yourself, eventually you'll see an outcome. Eventually blessed are the ones who do what? Yeah, keep at it. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode, in today's episode. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more about personal development, fitness, or just simply learning to live a little better each day, make sure you subscribe to the SelfSeed Podcast. There's like a button there. I think if you're listening on Spotify, you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you're listening on any podcasting platform, Rifali, for those in East Africa. If you're listening to, or maybe through our website, if you're listening to any other, there's like that button. On YouTube, there's like subscribe button, yeah? Click that. And hey, if you're planting your own seeds of growth, share it with me. Share it with the community. When you join the AUSSI Tribe, make sure you share it with us. What are you doing? How are your ambition? How are your goals? What are you facing? What's the challenge? Connect on social media, leave a comment, or just reach out even personally to me. I'd love to hear your story. So until next time, keep growing, keep planting, and remember, you have everything you need to make real change.